Hey, this is Matt Sloan, artist and author. I want to talk to you today about my experience with being a creative person with a vision and the pressure I've felt that I've put on myself to get the thing out there, get the information out there, that creative expression out there because there's this part of me that believes it will make such a difference to what is going on in the world. So, in some ways, that's a beautiful impulse that might be part of the driving force of the creative process. And I think there's a real shadow side, which I want to talk about now. So, for me, in my current book, or my forthcoming book, Alexander and the Battle He Could Not Win, the topic is very relevant today. It's very much about taking a stand without demonizing other people, without making them wrong for having a difference of opinion or seeing things a different way. And it's really using my own experience. So I noticed that this is really up right now in the world, that there's a lot of polarization. It's the difference of opinions, an extreme difference, where it's hard for people to actually get together and have a normal conversation if they have such a difference of opinions. Usually it's more like you're just bad or wrong or evil or stupid. Um, so part of for me this creative project, there's a part of me that believes that I will change everything. It's a kind of a messenger fantasy, the importance of the messenger for me as the messenger, that like I'll have such a different an impact on the way people are doing this polarization demonization thing that I have to get my project out there. So that's one thing, and it's important to know that that's an assumption. There's no way for me to know that that's true. I may have like one or two people read my books. I may have thousands. I have no idea. What I think is going on is I think that comes from a place in me that wants to control. And that is starting with I want to control what's going on in the world and change it and make it better. But really coming from that place of control, which for me shows up as tension. And it's actually harder for me to be creative. I noticed that the control moves from I want to control what's going on in the world to I want to control the impact of my book. So I might be controlling about the marketing and what is supposed to happen as a result. And all these things really I have no control over this stuff. And that's a really hard thing to admit. It's really hard to see oneself as helpless in the face of what feels like a daunting world experience, which really is just coming from my own experience at the moment. So it really messes with my creative process when I think urgently I have to get this thing out, and it makes me not even want to do it sometimes when I come with that energy. What's really interesting is who I become when my vision or my creative project feels urgent. And I think I become a little more stubborn, a little more closed-minded. I become probably less fun to be with when I'm really focused on that thing. In other words, when I look at the question, who do others become to me? Especially if I believe in some way, they're getting in the way of my project coming to fulfillment or fruition or coming into the hands of other people. Then that's ripe for the topic I'm exploring now. Like that I will demonize that person, like get out of my way. I have this important thing to share and you're a problem. So you can see there's a lot wrapped up here. What I want to leave you with a very brief story, which is that I once had the pleasure of hearing this gentleman talk about his vision, and he was saying how like he had kind of figured this thing out, this thing that this group of people was doing. He wanted to help them. He thought he could somehow share a message with them that would get them to change. And the way he described it actually sounded really controlling to me and sounded very convincing oriented. It was logical, but he was coming from this place of like, it's we got to do this now. And as he spoke, I noticed a feeling in me, and I had the opportunity to share with him that I said, as you're talking, I'm getting this tension in my belly, and I feel like this heaviness that's like causing my shoulders to arch over. And I noticed that in a way, the tone of what you're saying, even though there's this broader, better intention for like shifting things in a way that works for everyone, it's coming from this place of like almost shaming the people that you are saying you want to help. And it clicked something for him, and he was like, oh, yeah, I don't want to come from there. I want to come from a place where they can see it for themselves. And so it's really interesting. Like his urgency was sort of like mine. It's really easy to get caught up in urgency and want to control the whole process, the creative process, the marketing, how it gets in other people's hands, and then control the impact that we can have on other people. So that's a lot for today. I want to leave you with the question, how do you relate to the experience of forcing versus letting things marinate and unfold in their own time with a little more patience? Is one way more familiar to you than the other? So drop me a comment below. I look forward to your reflections. Thank you.